My name is Eric Arneson. I'm the Executive Director of the Office of Open Records here in Pennsylvania. The Right to Know Law, also called the Open Records Law, governs access to public records in Pennsylvania. On this video, we're talking about how to file a Right to Know request. More specifically, how to file an effective Right to Know request. Check our YouTube channel for more videos about the Right to Know Law, and visit our website for additional information. To request records under the Right to Know Law, the first step is to determine which agency is most likely to have the records you're interested in. For example, if you're interested in seeing records about the cost of snow removal in your local municipality, you should contact that municipality. If you're interested in records related to Pennsylvania's state park system, the best agency would likely be the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. This step is absolutely vital. Asking the wrong agency for records will cost you time. Next, find the contact information for the agency open records officer. Every agency, whether local or Commonwealth, is required to appoint an open records officer. Some agencies refer to this person as a Right to Know officer, but the function is the same. This is the person you should address your request to. Often, the best way to find the open records officer's contact information is on the agency's website. If you can't find it there, or if the agency doesn't maintain a website, the Office of Open Records maintains a database of all open records officers. If you still can't find the contact information, simply address your request to Agency Open Records Officer and send it to the agency's main address. Next, prepare your request. Depending on the complexity of your request, this can take anywhere from a few minutes to a few hours. Before preparing your request, look to see if the agency has developed a form to use for Right to Know requests. The law allows agencies to establish a rule requiring that requests be submitted on a form. Whether or not the agency has its own form, you can always use the Office of Open Records standard request form, which is available on our website. There's a link to it in the information below. However you prepare your request, be sure to include all of the information on the OOR's standard request form. The first section of the form is fairly self-explanatory. Fill in the date, how you'll be submitting the request, the agency you're requesting information from, including the agency's address, your name, and contact information. Under Records Requested, obviously this is where you describe the records you want. Take some time on this. It's important to describe the records clearly and specifically. If your request is too vague or too broad, the agency can deny it. For example, you obviously can't request all records created by all agency employees since the day the agency opened. However, you probably can request all memos, correspondence, emails, and budget documents related to the 2015 bridge repair project on Main Street. The OOR uses a three-part test to determine if a request is specific enough. First, the request should identify the transaction or activity of the agency for which the record is sought. In the example I just used, that would be bridge repair project on Main Street. Second, the request should identify a discrete group of documents. In the example, that would be memos, correspondence, emails, and budget documents. And third, the request should identify a finite period of time. In the example, although I didn't use a specific range of dates, the request is clearly limited in time because it only seeks records related to a bridge repair project that took place in 2015. There may be records connected to that project that go back further than that, but the time period is finite. Often, it's extremely helpful to provide a specific range of dates, and if you can do that, you should. Moving down on the form, the next section asks a series of questions. The first question is, do you want copies? And it means just that. Do you want to receive actual physical copies of the records? This might be paper copies, or it might be electronic copies, depending on the nature of the records. The second question is, do you want to inspect the records? This is an alternative to receiving copies. If you answered yes to receiving copies, you will probably answer no to inspecting the records, and vice versa. Inspecting the records means that you will need to go to the agency to view the records. Depending on whether or not redactions need to be made, this might be less expensive than getting copies. The third question is, do you want certified copies of records? The agency can charge you a reasonable fee to certify the copies, but certification is only necessary in rare cases. The fourth question is, do you want to be notified in advance if the cost exceeds $100? I always recommend answering yes to this question. Often, requesters unwittingly submit requests that are much broader than they intended. Answering yes to this question can help generate a conversation with the agency to narrow down your request to the records you're actually interested in receiving. Now, you've completed the request. The final step in filing a right-to-know request is to actually file it. Send your request to the agency open records officer. You can do this by email if the agency uses email, by postal mail, by fax, or in person. Be sure to note the date you submitted the request. That may be important if you need to file an appeal. Also, always keep a copy of the request for yourself. If your request is denied and you decide to file an appeal, you'll need to provide that copy of the request to the Office of Open Records. We talk more about that appeal process in another video. I hope this look at how to file a right-to-know request in Pennsylvania was helpful. As I mentioned, we have more videos which cover other topics in greater detail. If you're interested in more about the right-to-know law, visit the Office of Open Records website. There's a link in the information below. At the website, you can subscribe to a daily digest of every final determination issued by our office, or to a general newsletter we send out about once a month. You can also follow the OOR on Twitter @OpenRecordsPA, or follow me on Twitter @EricOpenRecords. Finally, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave any comments below. Thank you.